Hi, everybody. It's Ed Mann, and over there it's
Mindy Rickles.
right. And this is Mindy, Ed, and Don Rickles. And we don't want you to think that, suddenly Don Rickles is on the show. Certainly not. Well, let's describe what this is, Mindy. This is a brand new podcast for everybody.
I know. I'm very excited. It's really a podcast where, we're going to chat a little, but we're really going to talk about my dad, and we're going to hear clips of him from different shows. He was on Jimmy Kimmel and others, and we're going to just talk about, I'm going to see what memories this brings for me relating to my dad and what he was thinking and how things were going and what, got him excited being on these shows.
Yeah. I mean, he really got his energy up. And the Jimmy Kimmel thing was be part of this first season of shows. It was really instrumental in keeping your dad, as he always said, keep my name alive. This really did it. I mean, the show was incredible for him, particularly for a younger audience. So we really owe Jimmy Kimmel a great debt of gratitude, and also for their staff and his production company for allowing us to use these clips. So really grateful. So in fact, episode 1, we're going to chit-chat a little bit and then go right into a clip. So there you go. Mindy, we had, we can start with what? You had that physical the other day.
Oh, God, yes, I did. I dread going to my physical, as many of us do, but...
Well, I can share your BMI right here.
I'd rather
it's right here. I got the numbers.
I mean, most people, they're worried about their blood work. They're worried about, what's going on there. I'm worried about...
all of it.
Well, actually, I'm worried mostly about my height, because I lost an inch last year. So I'm terrified, absolutely terrified to have them measure me, because I'm worried that I'm down like 5 inches and I'm a leprechaun. Yeah. So
we all shrink. No.
But I'm not. I'm not as old as you are. So I'm not old enough to really be shrinking. And the fact that I am, is terrifying. So I worry about that, and I worry about, like you said, my BMI and my muscle mass, because, many years ago I had a trainer, I'll never forget, before my wedding, which would be to you. And he said to me in the gym, I was very young at the time, and he said...
It was Dave the trainer, right?
Dave the trainer. And he said to me, Mindy, your arms are very resistant to tone. And I'll never forget it. And he really said that, and it traumatized me, because if my arms were very resistant to tone at like 29, of what are they now? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So it's frightening. And
because we all know that you're really no older than 31.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Which is impressive.
Yeah. So it's a very scary thing when I, look at that. And so that's one of the things, that terrifies me when I go to the doctor. And when I walked in, actually, they were like, do you want us to take your weight? I was like, oh, is it an option? No. And then they were like, would you like us to do your height? I'm like, I'd rather you didn't. Great. Would you like us to do your muscle mass? No. And so I walked into this doctor, and I was like, oh, he's like, why didn't you do your height? I said, well, it was like an option, like a wine list. I didn't want to do it. He goes, well, why don't you do it so we know? So, that's when I came home with the BMI chart and this whole scientific thing, like in a chemistry set. And I had absolutely no idea what any of it meant. And I gave it to you. And of course, you looked at it like you were, in a think tank trying to figure out what was happening. And
I don't know what I'm looking at. All I know is it's got a big smiley face on the right side.
Right. Well, everything is excellent. It was good. He's always like, excellent. Right. Even though, my body mass or whatever, muscle mass could be like in the very, the black, they had like a black line, like the black wall of death. That was where if your muscle mass went into that area, it was very bad. But whatever it was, excellent, Mindy. Excellent.
You were. You're excellent. You're like a little child, except you're getting shorter.
That's right.
So it's like a Benjamin Button thing. You're actually healthy.
Exactly.
And getting healthier, I think.
And a very healthy little person, or somebody.
Oh, let's not go there.
An extra from Wizard of Oz. No, I didn't go anywhere. I was very politically correct just then.
Well, you're from the Lollipop Guild. We've all known.
That's right.
But just a little background. Mindy was, and maybe on occasion will be, a stand-up comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a very, very fine actress. Okay.
Yeah, you were. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. And your dad would always go, This is Mindy. She's an actress. And it didn't matter.
Right.
You were doing stand-up. It just didn't seem to...
Yeah, he
it was
preferred actress, even when I
I'm
wasn't doing acting anymore. That's
right.
right.
Right. And he'd go, and this is Ed. And that was the
That's
end
right.
of that.
This
Yeah,
is Ed, a friend of the family.
Yeah,
That's
friend of the family.
Just
Yeah.
hanging by a thread.
Yeah,
That's right.
something about the thread guy, Thread Ed. So, but that was, that was your professional background for a while.
That's right.
And you did do a lot of acting. You did some great acting, I think. I mean, I thought you were
that's
fantastic.
a whole other, 15 to 45 episodes that we'll do.
It
talk
may
about that.
be, but
Because
we're
people really
introducing.
want to hear about that much more than, Don Rickles. Right. But
They want to hear more about you. I mean, let's face
I'm
it.
sure.
Come on, your dad, who knows? But it was a, I think it seemed to be a fun career for you. And then, things kind of went sideways because stand-up is just, well, I always tell people, it's probably the hardest
tell
thing.
them things went sideways.
Well,
That
for a
sounds-
minute,
Sounds like, it went in the tank.
it didn't,
No,
though.
I had a
That's what
very
I'm trying to say.
successful acting career playing, Astronaut 1, Astronaut 12, whatever. And then I retired when I had children, et cetera. And then later on, I did stand up. That's correct.
Exactly. So sideways is the wrong word. You basically gave it up for a bit.
That's right.
And that's the same as I gave up music. I mean, I had been a musician for quite some time and had been on the air as a radio person in Los Angeles. And when we got married, we kind of gave up on all that stuff. We started doing stuff for ourselves and having kids and all that. Now we're kind of diving back or having dived back into...
We're sort of into our fourth life or whatever it's
I know.
called, where now our kids are grown and it's just the two of us, which
Kinda.
scares the hell out of me because I've always been like, who else is coming? Because when I grew up, I was used to going out with my parents and there would be other people coming to dinner. So I loved, big groups of people going to dinner. And so when it was just like, my parents, whatever, myself and my brother, I'd say, well, who else is coming? And my dad's like, no one else is coming. It's just us. And I'm like, ugh, because I always loved other people coming. So then on our honeymoon, when we were like in Venice, I was like, and we're sitting there, looking into each other's eyes at a dinner. I'm like, well, who else is coming? And you were like, there is no one else. I'm like, not even, the hairdresser or the guy that did the flowers from the wedding. They were not joining, even though I was obsessed with them on the honeymoon and missing them.
It got worse
terribly.
than that. You were like, I said, is everything okay? And you would have like downcast eyes and you're looking at your pasta.
I had a depression
and saying,
on the honeymoon.
I'm missing the florist.
I know.
Like,
I got into a deep depression on our honeymoon. And that should have been a signal to you to jump into a gondola and, go far away. But you didn't,
my way
thank
out.
God.
No. No, I stuck around.
You did. You did.
I'm okay. We're good.
Which is unbelievable, I have to say, because I am a lot.
You're amazing.
I'm a lot to handle.
You're a lot, but it's a fun lot. It's a good lot.
Thank you, honey. Thank you, sweetheart.
So the thing I also want to bring up, we were looking online, which you do, I think, as your primary entertainment.
Right.
And you said, oh my God, look at this, Ed. Look at this. It's Paul McCartney with Phil Collins. Apparently Phil Collins is in the hospital. And Paul McCartney is there serenading it with a guitar, and they're crying.
Right.
And it's this
I
whole
said,
scene.
God, Phil Collins is at death's door. And then you said to me, that was AI.
That's not real. And you were like, huh?
I still don't understand AI because it's just, I don't know. They can create anything. And
They can create anything. They had
just
Rachel Maddow out like in Africa crying with, some starving people. She was never there. I mean, it's not that she should be there, but it's just that she wasn't there.
Right.
So, it's all of this stuff. And they do it now politically, changing what everyone says all the time. You can hear, any politician saying anything and none of it's, we just saw a politician doing backflips up a boat. I'm still wondering if that was real.
I know.
I mean, it's like, is that Senator Thune or is that,
Right.
or Thune-ish, is that someone else that's doing that? I don't know.
That's right.
But there, I don't know if there's been any fakes of your dad. Were there? I don't think
God,
there
I
have
hope
been.
not. I hope not. I mean, they could put my dad, on a plantation, with crops in a field, working the farm. I mean, he could be doing anything. And, he used to say in his act that he had, a son in Vietnam, that something happened and during the war, and he had a son a Jewish son in
Well, it's
Vietnam.
part of his act. Yeah.
Right. In the Philippines. So it's like now they could have him reunite with that little Jewish Filipino son.
Yeah, both of them crying,
Crying in a field with working the crops. Yeah. So who knows? It's very crazy to me.
It really is.
I'm from the old country, and I don't understand
the shtetl.
those kinds of things,
No, we
right,
don't.
as well.
No,
No,
it's
I
just
don't.
no. So we wonder if his whole career was AI. We really don't even know. But seriously, part of what we're going to do on this adventure is dive into some clips. Some of which you've heard of Don, some of which you've never heard before because we have them stored here in a vault. So it's going to be some really interesting stuff that's coming up. But we do want to feature this season. We're going to do this in seasons, I think. Jimmy Kimmel became very close with your dad.
Very close. He loved my dad, worshipped him, yes.
Really worshipped him. And your dad, of course, adored him, because he was, clever and always, and witty. And these are all the things that he did.
Very nice. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And very differential. So we want to start with the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. And what we're going to do, we're going to try to go through it somewhat chronologically. I think I have it in order. But it hardly matters because it's not like there's a story through line through each show. But, it's not like listen to episode 3 when Don talks about what he said last week. It's not going to be like that. But this, I believe, is the first time that, did they meet before they did the show? I don't even know if they met before.
I'm not sure.
I think this might be online somewhere, but, some of these Kimmels are hard to find. So you might enjoy it. We're going to interrupt from time to time because I'm sure Mindy will have a thought about her dad and I might pipe in with something. But we'll do this one in actually 2 segments, so stay tuned for that. Here we go.
Our first guest tonight has performed with all the greats, with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Bob Hope, Johnny Carson, and tonight he will perform with some of the not-so-greats. He is one of the funniest men who ever lived. He will be honored by the Comedy Festival in Las Vegas on Wednesday with their first ever Caesars Palace laurel. Please welcome Mr. Warmth, Don Rickles. Well, look at that. Rarely does anyone get a standing ovation on this show.
Okay, that's it for me. Hey, kids and youngsters and elders, thanks so much. And I really mean this. This is a real mercy mission, but I appreciate it. Nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
Hey, what happened to you? You were so great on sports. Why the hell did you leave that? I remember you used to be the Redskins 41, the Rams 7. I used to watch on sports, and then all of a sudden they gave you a tie and a jacket, and you skyrocketed. I don't understand that.
I don't know what happened either.
No, when I first saw you, I'm over here. The guy in the band's going... This is a show, not an airport show.
Ooh.
The Japanese kid's laughing. 3 years in the jungle looking for your uncle. No, hey, you young people don't know. 2 years I was in the Philippines, boom, walking around, said I'd do jokes, and they kept saying, keep firing. And your father kept saying, oh, what are you doing? Anyway. So God bless you. Be proud. We need your people. Listen, I must tell you, when I first met you, I never met you.
No, we've never met, yeah.
Thank God. Anyway, no, and I say this from my heart. Your show has skyrocketed, and you've become very successful, and I'm happy for you. Thank you.
So that was always a pattern with your dad, right? It was like, let's just throw some crap around.
Right, and see, let's just bounce it off the wall and see what happens.
And then get nice,
That's
and
right.
then... Yeah, that was always the way. But and it worked. I mean, it really worked for him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Your turn.
I thought then you would end by saying something terrible, because I never know, you set it up so that it seems nice. Like I thought, for instance, you were going to compliment Toshi on being Japanese, but it turned out, no.
No.
Well, we have...
No, I eat the sushi. I eat that fish, and then you get the runs and die. Anyway,
I really do appreciate your coming.
I said the runs, and the Mexican guy went, hold on.
It's a big day for him today.
By the way, I got to tell you, Frank's your uncle. God bless you, Frank. Frank saw my show in Vegas. This is the truth, ladies. And he came backstage and he said, Don, you were great. I'm going to call. Why don't you call up and maybe you'll get the job? Call up the show. Frank, I did what you said, and now I got the job. I can't thank you enough, Frank.
He really
Frank,
said
you're
that.
a moron. I'll tell you that
He did. He really did.
I swear to God, guys, that's what he said. Call up your about. And Frank used to be with Sinatra,
That's right.
He's one of those stand back guys, Frank would walk out of the job, stand back, and there's nobody there. Stand back.
Did you travel with security, heavy security like Sinatra?
No, I had one Jew in front of me going, I think it's okay.
Tony O.
Tony O, that's right. Tony O.
Shout out to Tony O.
God, I met him, when I was like in my 20s, and it was very funny because we were at dinner, in the hotel say the Sahara, wherever my dad worked, I would go with my parents to dinner between shows, and it would be very late at night. There'd be a show at like 8 o'clock and a show at like, 10:30 or something. So we would eat dinner like, 9:30. Sometimes we would eat after the shows, 10:30, 11, very late. And one night we were having dinner and there was this guy sitting at another table looking very serious. He wasn't like a big guy, like a body, like a security guard. And I was like, who is that? I had no idea. And then when I got up to the bathroom, suddenly there was this guy like on my shoulder walking me there. And I was like, who is this? And that was Tony O, who became my dad's road manager and was very protective of me. And, I love him very much. And he was with my dad for many, many years. And he just was there for him. And after the show, my dad would be like, how was the show? How was the show? And Tony would say, you were great, Don. You were great, Don. Whether he was great or not, it was like, how was the show? You were great, Don. You really were great. Because my dad would come off the stage, like he'd never been on stage before. And he'd want to see, were they laughing? Were they laughing? Was he laughing? So Tony was always there to support him. And he's still a wonderful guy that we love.
We still work with him on some stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But I made the huge mistake once of after a show, and I went to your dad and I said, he came to me and he said, well, how did it go? How do you think it went? I said, I thought you were great, but the crowd could have been, a little bit better. And he was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I thought,
that could have thrown you right out of the marriage.
That would have been it. That would have been the end. I would have been, living in the fireplace.
Yeah.
I never would have.
That's not the thing to say.
You don't say that.
No.
You don't say that, which says a lot about him.
What do you mean the crowd wasn't good? What do you mean?
They came to see him. Of course the crowd's good. They didn't come to see someone else.
The crowd is always good, no matter what.
Yeah. Let's roll a little more.
And had good people always hanging around. In those days in Vegas, you don't know, but in those days, it was always a guy going, don't worry, Mr. Rickles will take care of you. And there was always guys, good people. Vegas is different today. And those guys, there was one guy you answered and said, I want to have a party. Guy, don't worry, Don, I'll take care of it. Today, it's 4 guys stamp for coffee, boom, 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 a drink, boom, 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 boom. What's your name? Where do you come from? Boom. And, and it's like that.
You got a card with points and people have their cards in the
that was good
machine.
the way you jumped in with that. That was good. It saved the whole story. That was good. I can't thank you enough. I swear to God. This is a treat for me to be on a show that's going nowhere. I swear to God.
I feel the same way.
Hey, I'm making jokes. 12 o'clock at night, I turn this on, and when that don't go on, I know there's a storm. Anyway, hey, snap out of it. I laughed at you for crying out loud.
Let me show you something.
What's his name? That's the leader, right?
Cleto and his dad. 2 Cletos, actually.
Your dad, right? You worked with me.
I sure did.
I have a photograph.
Wait, I'm talking to the guy. Where did we work, my dear friend?
At the first time at the Sahara in Lake Tahoe and then the Sahara in Las Vegas.
God bless. And that's your son.
It sure is.
God bless. You're doing so well.
Also, thank you, sir.
Be proud of your dad. They're around one time, son. Really.
Yeah, right.
I'm
very proud.
And what, does your son hang out by the border, by the fence?
How did you know?
I play that saxophone.
Look at that. That's what year do you think this was?
Oh my God!
Cleto, what year is this?
That's 1965 at Sahara Tahoe.
There's
and the Sahara, if I might say,
right there.
Yeah.
the Sahara, that was where my dad first worked when I was very young, growing up, and my parents always said that, I had a crib on the lawn at the Sahara Hotel. I was like born at the Sahara, and I remember my favorite thing was to go into the coffee shop. In those days, there were coffee shops everywhere, and there were the Keno. Do they still play Keno?
I think so.
have no idea.
We don't go to
And I
Vegas
would
much.
walk around, like they gave me a little name tag, and I was like the Keno girl, whatever. I was like 4 years old or something. And I would walk around the coffee shop, and that was like an absolute dream for me. I loved that so much. So I grew up, at the Sahara Hotel. And there was this restaurant called the House of Lords, which was all like very big red booths, like in the 1950s. And that's when we would go to dinner, every night at like 11 o'clock at night or very late. And, I was like 15 or 14, and we'd sit in the dressing room. That was an incredible thing too, because after the show, people would always come back to the dressing room, and it could be, like Dudley Moore and like a 6-foot blonde, or it could be Sugar Ray Leonard. It was always very exciting, and someone very famous would come to the dressing room, and sometimes I'd have my picture taken with them, but my mother was always back there like going, "Can I get you something to drink? Don's in the shower."
That's right.
My dad would be in the shower getting ready, and then he'd come out
The
in this
robe.
enormous yellow robe, like Big Bird, the yellowest robe with his initials like DJR, like on the side of it. And he'd come out and everyone would be like, "Oh my God, Don's here." He'd sit down and then he'd make jokes with everyone.
Yeah.
And he really loved doing that. That was like a great time for him after the show when people came back. He really enjoyed that a lot.
Well, he was great even like in a restaurant if people would come up. People often maybe were afraid to or skittish.
Always.
Very differential people. He was just always like, if they were young, particularly, oh my God, if a young person came up.
Oh, yeah. He loved that young people, always liked him. It wasn't like he always had, an older audience when he was older. No, he could have like 25-year-olds in the audience because people that loved my dad just loved him.
Right.
And they were all different ages.
And a credit to Jimmy Kimmel because he had a fairly young audience, particularly when he got started. And they got turned on to your dad. It was like,
that's right.
Like, well, look at this guy. This guy's hilarious. Yeah.
Exactly. And then he had a whole new audience.
When he said that, Dad, when he said that to me, do you remember? I worked Las Vegas, so all around the country. And I was in the Navy, and it's Veterans Day, so I'm proud. So my fellow Navy servicemen. There you go. And I was in World War II, and I kept saying I do special services. I said, keep firing, keep firing. Anyway, and I was on a PT tender in the World War II, but that's in the Philippines. And everybody said, and the Japanese came out of the jungle and said, "Where are you, Joe?" Anyway, so, hey, that's one of my best jokes. Snap out of it now. So now I'm talking about the Philippines. I lost my thought. Oh, yeah. So now I meet these guys, that come backstage, and it's the truth. They come back and I go, "Hi, Don, I'm Eddie. Remember on the ship together? Remember that night when you said to that broad, we want to make love, and you had a blue tie on? You remember that?" They're talking 60 years ago. You know what I'm talking about? And to make them feel good, I go, "Yeah, I remember." And they walk, "You son of a bitch, never forgets, never forgets."
Well, they remember. I'll remember this tomorrow. This will be just a distant. It won't even be a memory for you.
No, you're something else. You know why, Jimmy? Because I came from the world of sports. And I really watched you in those days.
Really?
Al Michaels is a good friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
And Al always talks about you, and I did. And I'm a big sports fan. I'm a Dodger fan and what have you in football. And I watch.
Do you bet on the games? Do you?
No. You know what? I've been in Vegas 40 years. I have never gambled a penny. And they said, you can't get a job if you don't gamble. And I put in a slot machine once a quarter, and I get nervous. I never gambled. It's in a book that I'm writing. And
that's true. My dad never. That's true. My dad never gambled, and you'd hear people like Sammy Davis Jr. would lose all of his money gambling.
Right.
I mean, all of these big stars would gamble, and some of them really ran into big trouble because they would just lose all their money. I mean, major amounts of money because, of course, it can be an addiction. And my dad was never, ever interested in gambling. That was a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep your money, folks.
So anyway, what was I saying?
I don't know. Let's take a break and we'll pick it back up because we got it. We have to take a break.
But you're so glib.
You see that? You see how smooth I am? Don Rickles is here with us. We'll be right back.
Well, there we go. I mean, that's the first segment, Mindy. That's the first one. We'll get to the rest of it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that went well. What do you think, everybody?
I thought you were talking to me. I'm sorry. Are there others? Are there others around us? Okay. How was the show? Was I funny? Was it a good show? Good show?
The crowd was great, Mindy. The crowd was fine. Everything was good. I have to say, though, there's a little thing at the end. I got to say Jimmy Kimmel Live, courtesy of 1205 AM Productions, LLC. Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Jimmy Kimmel Live airs weeknights, 11:35 and 10:35 Central Time on ABC. And there you go. And this was Mindy, Ed, and Don Rickles.
That's
so there you go. That's episode 1, everybody.
Thank you, honey. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you, babe. Bye.
Bye.